This is the first one of your video in the studio.
Yes, sir.
And then, like I said, it's just crazy scenes from here on out, bro.
Yeah. Okay. I feel a lot better.
Now you got the nerves out of it.
Yeah, I got the nerves out.
Facts.
Hopefully these guys won't find me again.
Nah, it won't. Yeah, wait.
Okay.
5, 4.
And we're back. What's up, guys? After a nice long hiatus and lockdown to thank, I think it's time I make my YouTube return. Before I continue, I want to give a big shout out to the main man, the guy that allowed for all of this to happen, Mr. J Besteezy. Josh, big thank you for letting me record at the Besteezy Studios up here in Hatfield. Really do appreciate it. I'm having a lot of fun, honestly. I won't lie, as maybe you guys can tell, I'm kind of nervous, but let's just get this one up and ready and have fun. So you guys, if you're watching with your grands, your aunties, everyone, tell them to like, subscribe, all of that stuff. Today we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to be speaking about my experience on fashion, what I've learned and understood, how I've grown from it, and yeah, guys, just sit back, relax, enjoy. But yeah, let's just enjoy. Something that lockdown has allowed me to realize and look back on and reflect on, obviously, aside from the intense tragedies and everything, when I'm having my own time, when I'm having my personal time, when I'm fortunate enough to do that, I have been able to now sort of reflect on my growth on fashion pretty much. So I look back, I'm like, okay, what I used to wear here was pretty corny, or what I used to wear here was absolutely terrible. And I've sort of put everything together and be like, oh, I can actually see my transition of terrible F-boy wear of skinny jeans and Air Force Ones and tight tops and bomber jackets, whatever, to a bit more enjoyable, baggier fits. I'm enjoying tasting of different things of fashion and stuff, in terms of learning about different designers, learning about different designs, how to wear different things, and playing a lot with my idea and my sense of fashion. When I do look back and everything on it, I absolutely cringe, bro. I cringe so much because I'm like, damn, I used to wear that, or come on, dude, I could have done way better. And I think when I check my growth, my transitioning of having better taste, learning what fits me, what works with me and stuff, it makes me appreciate fashion a lot more, because it's sort of like a diary of my growth, where I started, what I was feeling these days, and all that stuff. So it's a very expressive moment in my life, if you get what I'm saying. So I could start from the absolute bottom when I was 16 years old, wearing cuff jeans to the absolute max, high top everything. I'm wearing vests. I'm thinking I look like the buffest guy. I look like, say, Don Cheadle not Don Cheadle. Let me say Denzel. I look like Denzel, whatever, rip body, all of that stuff. And I get a look at this and I'm transitioning to better taste, different things. And honestly, I don't regret anything I wore, really. I don't really regret anything. But I can't say I was kind of embarrassed, because I probably remember one of my worst outfits, to closest memory, was last year. So at a new uni and everything, man, I felt so much pressure, because these kids were pretty cool in terms of the ones that I used to hang around with. Their fashion taste was banging. They had all these things they could buy, whatever they want, and they make it look so good. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta step my game up, I got to look better. I have to look this, not the idea of pressure from everyone else, but I'm pressuring myself to step up, because I can't say oh, I'm into fashion and then dress subpar, So I think it was third day of the new year. So we've had the freshers and all that stuff, and then now comes the time for obviously everyone's having fun. We're learning about this and this. We're getting to know the lecturers and whatever. Bear in mind, so how my day started, pretty much I went to gym in the morning, and I look at the weather forecast, says it's going to be kind of chilly throughout the day with some rain. I'm like, bet, this is my weather. So this is now in summer. This is in what was it, March or April, bear in mind. But it said it's going to be a bit colder and it's going to be rainy and all these things. So I'm like, okay, sick, swagoo. I'm going to wear something that's going to be pretty warm. So then I would follow Fashion for Youth and all these other pages on Instagram, where I gained a lot of my inspiration from. And I was like, yo, I can look like this, whatever. But then I wasn't taking into consideration body proportions. I wasn't taking into consideration how the thing actually fits on them, their sizing, all the stuff. I just thought I can copy and paste the outfit, live jive, do it there, And the outfit absolutely bit me in the ass. because now I get to the day we're chilling and stuff. Now we're drinking by like this little cute restaurant and stuff. My guy, it's hot, but like, you know, the one where you just like, like that kind of hot. I was under those ones. So then now I'm sweating, I'm exhausted, but now bear in mind I'm wearing like a collared tee or a collared shirt, and then now a jersey over, you know, that like cool e-boy aesthetic that is picked up where people would wear like baggy Champion jerseys and like the collared shirt or whatever. So like I was under those vibes. And then remember, I wear glasses, so I'm pretty blind. But then now I was like, oh, I can be cool. I wear my contacts and then I'll put on like these red glasses to like match the whole fit. So in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, this thing is sick. It's like a full tracksuit. It's so hot in there. And I'm like, yo, this thing bangs, bro. Like this thing looks good. I go there, I see everybody is like chill, dressed up, whatever. And I'm like, man, look, oh my God, you overdressed again. And I felt so self-conscious. I hated the whole day. I'm sweating. I look hot. And then now I can't remove the jersey because the jersey is going to leave like those black little cotton balls or whatever on the white shirt. A white shirt. So now I'm like, oh man, you have to like die for this, you know, like you made your bed, now lay in it. And then like I looked at that whole day and I was like, oh my God, I just want to go home. Like I want to take an Uber home and everything. I want to chill. Then my friends are like, oh no, the vibes are calling and they want to go drinking. They want to take shots. They want to do this. I'm like, oh, okay, peer pressure is getting me. And then I didn't know my days. Like that's like one of my worst outfits because of like what it impacted me for my body temperature and all these stuff. But then I started to like take time to myself because also at those moments when I was figuring out my fashion sense, like so I matriculated in 2017. So 2018, 2019, I was taking a lot of time to sort of learn and understand what my fashion idea and sense is, because I have friends from all different backgrounds where they have different understandings of fashion. They have different experiences and all this stuff. Some that dress like absolute buff niggas. You found hate is buff guy fashion. Others that dress like, you know, cool kids and whatever. And these guys that are heavily inspired by so-and-so and who. And I'm in these new environments where like I'm learning about my fashion sense and like I feel like my fashion is meant to reflect an image of me, and I'm not getting that at all. And I felt like I was trying so many outfits. They absolutely sucked, bro. So like I go to first year. I was a first year student at Wits, and then I go there and everything. I see these kids are dripped and dressed down so nicely. Like these kids are eating it and they're like 17, 18, 19. And I'm like, I'm way behind. And I felt pressure from them. So I would go and like, I get my dad's jeans. And I'm like, oh no, this is the in thing. So I'd like get my dad's jeans and do this. And then like in my head at the time, I was like, bangs. Bang, bang. I look at the photos now, I was like, that was terrible. And oh my days, like all the outfits I put together, maybe like out of like 100, I only had like 4 hits. Everything else was terrible. But then, okay, now I've been fortunate enough to like book jobs. I've been fortunate enough to get money through my modeling, whatever. And I've been able to actually express my sense of fashion a lot more. And like I get to see it now. And I'm like, oh, okay, I actually like, say, like the baggy fitting thing. This is now the direction I want to head in. And I feel like my fashion sense now has grown a lot, especially because I have very good and well-centered friends that are understanding in like the world of fashion and the world of design and taste and all these things in different spheres. And it really allowed me to like project into a better direction because I can learn from them. I can be like, okay, cool, that looks so sick, that looks terrible, that looks amazing. How can I incorporate this into my life? And I get a lot of inspiration from my friends and a couple of like Instagram influencers and stuff. But yeah, like my fashion growth has been really wobbly. Like that's the least I can say. It's been really wobbly and a lot of misses. A lot of misses where like I said, I don't regret anything, but damn, I could have made better choices back then. Going from that moment of like where my fashion growth is and stuff, I think it was maybe like towards the end of last year that I started to learn how to build my wardrobe and how to put things together, how to put outfits together, how to curate looks in my head by looking at an outfit, like if I'm going shopping or if I'm window shopping or whatever. How I learned to build my wardrobe and stuff. So at the end of last year, I made the decision at the end of last year that I'm no longer going to invest in fast fashion. I'm not going to buy into Zara, to H&M because of the impact it has on like the rest of the world in terms of now pollution, because obviously fashion is like one of the biggest, second biggest pollution source in the world. And I'm like, okay, if I can stop myself from contributing to such a thing, I can actually do better for myself, for my wardrobe, for my environment. So I'm like, okay, cool, let me try and do that. In doing that, I made like sort of a small promise to myself where I said like, I'm not going to only or solely invest in like these luxury things and save up to buy like a 5,000 Rand t-shirt or whatever. The best thing that I can do is buy pieces that can last at least longer than 2 years. Buy pants that last at least longer than 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. And I've been pretty fortunate and successful to do so. And I buy into these things because I'm like, I want these things to last long, because I want to actually make a proper investment and be sure when I buy something, because that's going to be a part of my life, my identity for X amount of years. And that's like what I want to push towards. And that's how I've like been pushing to build my wardrobe. So then during like at the end of last year and like throughout parts of lockdown, like a majority of lockdown, I've been fortunate enough to get jobs and everything where I can actually like invest in myself properly. Like my first big investment was this t-shirt from Rude. And like, it's such a dope t-shirt because it lasts quite long. It's well made, it's well put together and stuff. And like, I've been able to now feel good. I'm like, oh, I bought a good, like, it's expensive, whatever, yeah, but like this thing's gonna last. And like, it sort of built up after that. Like I was able to buy like these True Religion jeans. And like, funny story about that is like, I didn't even say I bargain, because like I'm not good at bargaining like that. Like that's my mom. My mom's a really good bargainer. I was just like, yo bro, like I went into True Religion, I got like a good pay. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling myself, like my bank account's looking healthy, all of that. So I'm like, okay, let me try and splash a bit. So then I go to True Religion. I'm like, okay, I've wanted baggy jeans, I wanted these Evusu ones, but those things are like 15,000 rand. I'm like, God no, I'm not gonna pay that. So let me go to True Religion. Everyone knows them as like that jean company, so let me invest in them and stuff like that. So then cool, I go to True Religion, I see these baggy jeans, I'm like, bet bro, I want them. I go try them on. I'm with my one friend, and then I'm in the change room, and like I take off my pants, and then like I see the tag is like flopping out, so like it falls on the floor. I'm like, okay, so let me like pick it up. I look at the thing, it's like, yeah, it's like 6 bands. I'm like, 6 grand, I can't afford that. So then now I'm like, okay, I'm swallowing my breath, and I'm like, man, dude, okay, let's just be honest with this guy. So he's like, oh, do you want to buy the jeans? And I'm like, yo bro, like I love them, I love the cut, but I can't afford these things right now. Like these things are so expensive. I'm like, okay, they're probably gonna fold it up, put it on the shelf. You know that like that little walk of shame you make, like when you look at something like, oh nice, and you you flip the tag over, you're like, not that bad, and you walk out, you're like, damn, I'd never pay that price. And then he's like, okay, like how much you got? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, how much are you willing to spend on these jeans? I'm like, 2.5. He's like, okay, done deal. I'm like, oh, okay, 2 point, I should have said 1. And then yeah, like I was fortunate enough to like get the jeans like that. I've been taking time to I don't want to buy like a lot of clothes at once, unless obviously I can afford it, but I don't want to buy a lot of clothes at once, but rather invest in, even if it's one piece of clothing once, or like I invest in 5 at a time or a month or whatever, that's going to actually like build my wardrobe slowly. So like I've been taking it as a very, very slow and progressive thing. And then with my other stuff from fast fashion houses and stuff, I donated them to charity. I was like, you know what, I didn't start from ground zero, but I was like, I don't need these things, they're not my style anymore, I don't fit them, so let me sort of start a brand new page in my life in the world of fashion. Yeah, so like when I look at my growth, I'm like, okay, cool. I went from this guy that was in Zara every day, like I want to get this tee, I want to get this AC/DC tee, I want to get this, I want to get that. And then I've transitioned from like that pretty small-minded guy to like, okay, cool, like this is the world of fashion. There's so many things that I can invest in, so many things I can do and stuff, and also better ways I can invest my money and time and passion in fashion. Nice rhyme, you know. And then I felt like a lot better, like after every buy, I feel a lot better after every investment, because I feel like it's actually building my identity correctly. Yeah, like I was able to now also grow this fashion sense, not only through really good friends, also through now designers and stuff. And like I think my period of fashion growth really spurred when I was like 19. I turned 19, so I'm the first year out of uni and stuff. There was a time where my family and I, we were like, well, my family now, my sister and I and one good friend of mine, we had a photo shoot in Kenya. We flew to Kenya and stuff, and then this guy there was telling us like all these stories, whatever, of like, yeah, he does this, he's a philanthropist, whatever, and he wanted us to like apply for universities and stuff through him, and like he'll sponsor us. I was like, bro, bet, because studying overseas is mad expensive. Like studying in London, you're probably averaging like in a good uni and stuff like probably like 1 to 1.5 a year, you know, like that's like an M2 every year for 4 years. He gave us this offer, whatever, but like he really motivating me and pushing me to like do something that's more creative, not this analytic stuff of business studies, but he's like, dude, you can actually do fashion. And I'm like, oh, it's a passion of mine, but I never really saw it as that. Cool. Like come the time, he's like, okay, cool, just design me a suit. And like, bro, I haven't picked up a pencil since like grade 9, so I'm kind of scared, I'm kind of nervous, so like I can't do that. And he's like, nah, just trust yourself. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll try. I designed the suit. Like the designs now, if you saw them nah, like, you know, like you can't see those designs and live. Those things are terrible, but like I refine them over time, and I get back home, I refine them, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually like pretty decent at this. Like I love fashion, but like I love it like when I'm sketching and I'm thinking of new designs, I'm drawing inspiration. This is when Virgil Abloh was really predicting a good come up and everything in the world of fashion, and I was like, okay, cool, like these guys are good inspiration stuff, but like let me try and dig a bit deeper, because like I wanted to do my best into learning about this culture that I'm about to engross myself in. And I was like, okay, so I started from what my level of ground zero was. I'm so happy I started there, because that's what really burnt such a fire in my chest, where I wouldn't stop sleeping, I wouldn't stop designing, I wouldn't stop growing my knowledge and understanding of why fashion is like this. And it was all due to the late Gianni Versace. And to all my Italian listeners, I got that one right. Yeah, I got that one right. And yeah, like Gianni's story of starting off like in a small town in Italy, not many people aside from his mom like being passionate about what he does and everything, and then him growing his brand into this gargantuan household name, this rap name, this everything name. This thing was so heavily integrated into all of our lives, from Versace, Medusa hit on me like I'm Illuminati, like come on, you know, and to the point where everyone wants Versace rugs, they want Versace ropes, they want the Versace shoes, they want everything, they want all these stuff, and I'm like, this guy is gargantuan. So I started off with him, I learned about his story. I don't know him like the back of my hand, but I'm like, oh, this guy is amazing, and it gave me that inspiration of like, he's this flamboyant, I think he was gay, like this flamboyant gay guy that didn't care about these things, that didn't care for all of this rubbish and everything around him, that he just wanted to get his artwork out there. And I was like, I felt sort of seen, because I'm like, this guy, he's not that cookie cutter mold, but he still did it. And I'm like, okay, I felt sort of good about it. So I design a lot of things, and then I also do a lot of inspiration from anime, and watching a lot of these anime, watching like Cowboy Bebop and all these things. And I'm like, these styles are actually pretty cool, they're pretty interesting, they're pretty what's what I'm looking for, vintage and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I want to integrate that into my fashion. Like I got to grow it like that. And then I get to the point now, this is now January 2019, and I decided to apply to fashion school. So I applied to about like 6 or 7, and your boy actually got into all like 6, okay, excluding the one. So I didn't get immediate admission into Pratt University. So it's a top university in New York. I got accepted into all these other big universities that are for fashion. They complemented my fashion design and everything. I was like, wow, like I can actually do this. Like I'm actually good at designing clothes. I'm actually good at putting an idea, a creative thought process and everything through a design. Like I did the first step. So obviously the next step is designing clothes and stitching them or whatever. But I just felt like, actually, Monday, you can do this. That was how I was able to grow my fashion sense, through the likes of Gianni Versace, Samuel Ross, Virgil Abloh, through anime, through my friends and stuff. And then it got amplified in mid 2019 or beginning of 2019, when I fell in love with Alexander McQueen. So I watched his documentary, and I was like, this guy is phenomenal. He was such a tortured soul. He was such an amazing artiste and such an amazing person to have been around. Like I'm sure obviously it's a pretty one-sided view I have from what I've experienced through the screen. It was tremendous, the way he influenced and the way he created fashion to become this huge thing now. Beyond now, obviously him passing away and stuff is ridiculous. And then a bulk of my inspiration are from those big entities or those big people. But then also my other inspiration mainly comes from a lot of my good friends that have taught me these things, like similar stuff that I would draw from Alexander McQueen, whatever, of like, be yourself, appreciate yourself. If you feel confident in it, do it, wear it, love it. And then I start to like grow my fashion sense from all these corners and stuff, and I start to put it together into one simple outfit. And then bam, it was, I think, end of last year that I actually had a first good outfit that I felt confident in, that I could wear like 4 times a week. And it was black loafers, my velour pants, and then this sweatshirt, and everything just made sense. This was my favorite outfit of like my whole December. And I was like, I finally feel like I'm growing into this person. Then I started to grow, and then now I'm at a better space where I feel a lot more confident in my outfits. And before, I would always ask my sister like every day, does this outfit look good? And then I eventually grew away from asking about that. Like the last time I asked him was probably April, like in lockdown period, or like say March or whatever. And like ever since, I actually feel really confident in what I wear and how I do it. And like I feel like because of that good support system and those good inspirations, I've actually been able to project myself into a better sphere of fashion where I don't doubt myself anymore. With this projection, it's allowed me to also now get a better vision and a clear-cut idea of like where I see myself in the world of fashion. So yeah, now like where I see myself in fashion, I'm like, okay, I see myself in fashion where I'm a connoisseur and I contribute to fashion. So be it that I contribute in the sense of giving opinions, be it that I have with now my clothing line, I contribute and all this stuff, but I really do see myself as being someone that's going to leave a footprint. Doesn't have to be gargantuan, just big enough that I can feel proud. Like when people look back, they'll be like, oh, like what did you do with fashion or whatever. I'm like, just go find my at type of thing. Yeah, like that is a good place to start off on coming back to YouTube, giving you guys a better understanding on like where I started my journey on fashion. Okay, I didn't explain that. Like quick story. So pretty much where I started my journey on fashion was, I knew I kind of liked fashion when I was like grade like 6, grade 7. It started off with like me doing that. You remember like when people used to roll up their jeans to like their calf, and that was a trend and stuff. So that trend kind of started because of me. I'm not gonna like take too much credit, but like, hey, man, if you're gonna look for the creator of that stuff, that was me in grade 6. You know, Mrs. Knowles' class at the back. And yeah, like that was when I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of like, it's kind of fun, like styling clothes and doing this and expressing myself in different ways. And then I drew a lot of inspiration and fashion sense from like Lil Wayne at the time, with sagging and skinny jeans and bulky shoes and plaid shirts and flat caps and all this stuff. And then it started like there, grade 6, grade 7, where like I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying like watching people do these stuff and whatever. Then it grew exponentially in grade 10 when I went to my first fashion week in South Africa. And from there, it turned into like something that was more than just a passion, but like a part of me and stuff. And like, yeah, that's sort of like a really brief nutshell version of like where I started with fashion. But like I say, this is a nice way to start off, like coming back to YouTube. So I want to go back and say again, thank you so much for letting me record your bestie. Like, I really do appreciate it. Guys, if you do enjoy the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your gran, your nan, your bestie, your uncle, your ex-boyfriend. If you're not going to talk like that, don't worry. But yeah, I really do appreciate you guys coming out to watch my video again. I really can't wait to drop for you some more heat, some more funny stuff. I will be trying to expand my conversation on fashion a lot more, and creating this channel to be a place where I can have the conversation that people may want to have, not want to have, or be curious about and stuff. And like, I want to give my opinion best I can. But I think it's time for my signature outro. My name is Mandla. Peace.